Doug MPA back with another video. So I found this article where this lady, Janelle Sims, pretty much pins a love letter to all the stepdads who stepped up and took on kids who weren't theirs. And she goes over her case where she met a man that didn't have children and took on her 2 kids. So this is going to be a long one because the article's kind of long. Before we get into it, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. I really appreciate it. It shows you support me and what I'm doing over here. And just real quick, guys, on my platform, no single mothers ever. No single mothers. Don't sleep with them. Don't date them. Don't marry them. It's a bad deal all the way around. Okay. And the issue of fairness, ladies, if you don't have any kids, don't date a man with children. Let the people with children deal with themselves. So let's get into this article, guys, and see if this is something that you'd be willing to sign up for. Are you ready to step up to the plate? Because apparently Janelle Sims thinks you should and will celebrate you if you do. So it says, when my husband fell in love with me, he knew I was a buy one, get 2 more deal. I was a single mom with 2 very young kids. He was quite a bit older and had grown children. Did he want to start over? I made him think long and hard about what he was getting into. He had a life-changing decision to make. Okay, so this is already a circumstance different from what I say because he already had kids and he's significantly older. So significantly older probably means about 10 or 15 years. So, hey, maybe it was worth it to him to have a younger wife. Maybe, but then he already had kids. So, that's a different circumstance. It says, and he chose us. He chose to become a husband and a stepfather. Since he's a counselor, oh, Lord, he had many years of experience in dealing with blended families. He had heard horror stories and heartfelt stories about many do's and don'ts. He decided from the very beginning that his role in the family was to be a fun giver, not a caregiver. What does that even mean? A fun giver and not a caregiver? I've never heard that before. When it came to parenting choices and disciplining, these would fall on me, their mother. All responsibilities and duties were also mine. He would be there to hold them, read to them, and make them laugh and tease them. Guys, if you're in a household as a stepfather, this is all you can do. Read to them, hold them, make them laugh, and tease them. That's it. That's it. But a mere month into our marriage, there he was at 3 a.m. holding and comforting my puking 3-year-old son. Chewed up food was being splattered onto every surface faster than I could clean it up. My little boy was crying and hurling, but there was my new husband. He calmly rocked and shushed, soothed that little boy the whole time. Even with the smell of vomit in the air, I stopped and looked took in such a precious moment. Before we knew it, he was driving them to school, talking them through tantrums, listening to them about their bad dreams, engaging with me at parent-teacher conferences. See, and this is another example. Stepmothers can say that they don't need a stepdad, but you're gonna be the stepdad, guys. You're gonna be the stepdad. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. They can say it all they want, but this is where it's gonna end up. He had an instinct to protect, to comfort, and to commit, day or night, biological or not. For the most part, disciplining, feeding, washing, and those 9 p.m. I need a green styrofoam for school tomorrow runs were up to me. But in exchange, he took good care of me. He had to sacrifice the way the other fathers did too. Did he have to give up space in the garage for sports equipment and take cold showers after my daughter used up all the hot water? Like a real father, yes. You see how it says real father in quotations? He did. Did he have dirty shoe prints on the back of his car seat? Like a real father, yes, he did. Did he have to teach my son to pee in the woods because I couldn't? Like a real father, yes, he did. And I cannot go without including the financial aspect. These 2 kids were never his financial responsibility, but never once had he not made sure they had everything they wanted and needed. Sports equipment, clothing, summer vacations, and vehicles. It took both of us to financially support them, and he worked many extra hours because of this. As I'm reading this, guys, is this something you want to sign up for? Because he had his kids. And technically, you can argue all of this money, his kids probably had real needs, even grown up. He could have put this money towards helping one of his biological kids buy a house, or invest, or pay off their student loans. But no, he's putting his money towards these little crumb crunchers. He was still the fun provider he set out to be. Shrieks of laughter, joke playing, storytelling, horse playing, and teasing all came from him. My daughter was his first little girl, but he jumped right into playing with dolls and My Little Pony memory games and singing and dancing. He played ball and any and every kind of ball with my son all the time. Rounds of rowdy Nerf gun wars were usually instigated by him. As they grew, he attended every choir performance, awards assembly, and sporting event. He coached my son's little league baseball team. He watched every play in which my daughter performed. He even held her on her bedroom floor when she sobbed about not getting a role in a high school play she desperately wanted. He attended meetings with school administrators. He whooped and hollered when my son scored a goal. He cried when my daughter graduated. And at any time, if she decided to leave him, all of that is gone. And he would get nothing for that. He's lucky she chose to stay around in his life this whole time so he could enjoy all that. Guys, this is not a safe bet, and this guy is a simp. He stepped up in every sense of the word, stepdad. I'm going to say something about this stepped up term. Guys, stepped up term is misandrous. If a woman says a man needs to step up, that's automatic misandry. It needs to be called out. Okay? You can't tell women to woman up as much as we'd like to, but women will tell you to man up or step up. You can't tell a woman what a real woman is, but they'll tell you what a real father and a real man is. Guys, it has to be called out. If any woman says that you need to step up, call it out. Call them a blatant misandrist. I do it. It says, yet even with as many step families that exist in the world, I could never find a Father's Day card for a stepfather. You can barely find a Father's Day card for a real father nowadays. They're right next to the single mothers on Father's Day section of the Hallmark cards. Using a card with the word father on it doesn't apply. That's for a different man in a different situation. Stepfather is a word of honor. No, it's not. It used to be maybe back in the day in the 60s and the 70s, but not anymore. Women see stepfathers as simps. It says, using a card with the word father on it doesn't apply. That's for a different man, different situation. Stepfather is a word of honor. It's in its own category. In some ways, it deserves a higher regard. And this is a key to it. If this were the case where stepfathers were held in higher regard, more men would do it, but it's not. Although mothers and fathers often, not always, choose to become parents, stepfathers have an even more substantial choice to make. Similar to choosing a spouse, they are choosing to love, care, and support someone who is not blood related through good and bad times and for forever. Why aren't those with this title even more celebrated and honored? I'll tell you why. Because there's been a cultural shift. Single motherhood is the norm and it's celebrated. And a consequence of that is a stepdaddy simp culture. It's a female mating strategy. Get the genes from the Chad and Tyrone and have the guy from the IT department take care of that man's kid. That is our current society. That's why. Not only that, in many situations, step-parents are not given any rights. He wasn't allowed to help with driver's education required hours. He had to get specific permission to pick them up from school. Step-parents might not be able to help make medical decisions or vice versa. My daughter, now an adult, may not be allowed to visit the man who raised her and is her father in every way in a hospital. The prefix step seems to carry a subpar less than connotation, the total opposite of the heroes they can be. So this paragraph I just read, everything that she put before it, this paragraph cancels out. So all of the good things that step parents can do and stepping up and stuff, the fact of what I just read, how he can't help with driver's education hours and the daughter can't visit him in the hospital, he can't make medical decisions, that cancels everything in this article before this out, guys. Don't do it. Don't be a step parent. It says, I am not naive to the fact that not every blended family and step-parenting situation is as peaceful and bond as ours. I understand why the rules are the way they are. I understand not everyone wants to celebrate a step-parent on a holiday or have them make medical decisions. It's just not the case with us. So unlike Cinderella's situation, phenomenal step-parents do exist. T-shirts, coffee mugs, and even freaking greeting cards should recognize these incredible human beings. My children would not have become who they are today without having him as their stepdad. He helped shape and direct them every bit as much as I did. In fact, my son is so much like him, he'd be a great case study for nature versus nurture. My husband is so proud of these two bonus kids, he deemed himself the world's greatest stepfather, WGSF for short. Dude, simp, man. Simp. And boy, do they love him. They wholeheartedly buy gifts for him for birthdays, Christmases, and Stepdad's Day at our house. They love spending time with him and know deep down how blessed they are that he chose them. Although I am close to both kids, they have a special, unconditional connection with him, and they can even communicate with him differently. I just think it's time to recognize this category of incredible citizens. They step up to the challenge. They step into the muddy trenches of parenting. They step out of their comfort zones. They sidestep when the situation warrants. They step back when those kids become adults, but they should never be considered a step down. So being a stepfather is a bad deal. And especially, I'm going to say it, as a black man, we are the most likely to become step parents. And it's sad. This is not something you should sign up for. I want us men to proudly declare in a short amount of time, hopefully in the next couple of years, that the day of the stepfather is over. So, gentlemen, if you're listening to this, let's help make my dream a reality. That the era of the stepfather is over. No single mothers under any circumstances. Tell me what you think about this in the comments. Like, subscribe, and I'll catch you on the next one.